Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lachelle Weemy, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I have a special guest with me today. One of my Spiral Up experts, Sarah Light, is going to join us with an amazing conversation all around goal planning. And what I love about Sarah is that she also has this really solid faith in God. And we're going to talk today about how do you make your goals and your planning practical, but also tying in with our divine purpose for our lives, right? And Sarah is the creator of the Soul Planner. If you guys have been following me for years now, you know that I am a huge fan. In fact, and Sarah knows this, I'm a creative and I love to make things. I love to produce things. I love to serve people. And I had thought about doing a planner and it's like, holy crap, there's nothing that I could do that could ever beat what Sarah has done. And so it's like, why reinvent the wheel? Like, I'm just going to promote the heck out of Sarah's work because it's that good, you guys. And so I just want to say that, Sarah, everything that you've done with your planner and the way that you have literally allowed people to bring their dreams and their goals to life with accountability and organization and doable action steps and all of the tools that are required to make things happen. It's just beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Thanks for having me on. I'm really pumped up, especially after your intro. You should play that every morning when you wake up.
I know, right? I know. It's just like, it totally inspires me too. And it's such a great, just honestly, this journey that God has brought on. I never would have imagined in a million years that I would be in this place, but I had to follow the desires that God had placed in my heart. And I had to take inspired action to get here. And here I am. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about today. Mm-hmm. And before we were hitting the record button, Sarah and I were talking about how it's really easy for us, especially those of us who have grown up in the faith, to be unsure or unclear of what goal setting really means when we may have some beliefs that are tied to everything is just the will of God. And so why should I cast a goal, cast a vision when I'm really just supposed to submit to him in all of his ways? And so, Sarah, I would love to know what your thoughts are around that, because you have such a great philosophy on how to really marry the two of them. So I'd love to hear what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I know that feeling of like, is it selfish for me to set my goals, or is it selfish of me to prioritize a dream that I have, even to something like making money? Is that selfish? And how do I tie that in if I am a Christian and want to follow God's will? Like, how do those two things go together?
Yeah.
And instead of it like being something that like two opposing sides, the more I looked into it, I was actually just blown away at like how amazing and loving God is. Like what I came across and the conclusion I came to is just actually how infinite God is and how much he doesn't need us. He doesn't need us at all in any of his plans. But he chose us and he asked us to join him in his work.
Yes.
And he created us to be finite, which means we're limited. We can barely go without sleep. We can't go without food. And we are bound by time, which is like, you could go down a whole rabbit hole with that. Like, we are bound by time and he is not. Like, that phrase holds a lot there. But this infinite God with no time limits has asked us to join him in his work, knowing that we're finite, knowing that we're limited, knowing that we'll actually never get our work fully done.
Right.
I just think that's fascinating. And I think that means that the work that we do here And the way we spend our time matters. Knowing that it's limited and he's only given us a certain amount of time and that he's asked us to join him, that means what we do with the minutes we have really, really matters. And that we have a way to like give back to him with our time.
Yes, that's so beautiful. And one of the things that I believe, and I believe that you feel the same, is that God places the desires on our hearts. It tells us over and over in scripture that he does that. And so one of the things that I do is I just can do a self-check in my prayer time to make sure that those desires are in alignment with his word, that are in alignment with what I know of him by reading his word. And as long as I feel like that desire is going to be in alignment with helping the greater good, God can use me here on this earth to do his work. I get to be his hands and his feet because he's placing the desires on my heart to be able to make a bigger difference in the lives of the people who are here. Right.
Mhm.
And
Right.
so it's not selfish if we're looking at it from a standpoint of how is it that what I'm doing, how is it that what I want in my life is going to impact people more than me? And
Mhm.
it's like you said, it's almost irresponsible of us to not accept that. What are your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I agree. And I also think it's kind of like God actually uses really sinful people to fulfill his will. So like I think we put almost too much clout on ourselves to be like, I have the power to stop the will of God by accident. Like it's not like he's still gonna do it, whether you're in or out. Like even
Yeah,
if you are actually completely opposing him, he could actually still use that too.
yeah.
But yeah, I'm reminded of like the parable of the talents, which is
Yes.
about money, but I think it's funny that it's the word talent too, because
Mhm.
the in that parable, it's whoever invested in the talent and whoever like increased what they were given. And that was
Yes.
the responsibility that God expected them was to increase it.
Yes, absolutely. And one of the things that I also remember you and I talking about in the past is, and I can't remember exactly the phrases that you used. So it was something like hold loosely. What was that
Yes,
again?
yes,
Like,
yes. It's plan tightly and hold loosely. Because I do think to be responsible with our time and to be a good steward and to make the most of it, we can plan. And you want to plan tightly, not like overly tightly with a tight grasp.
yeah.
But you want to plan it and you want to honor that vision that you've been given and to see it through because it's something I feel like that's in our if we have a vision, we hold it and it's our responsibility and it's our job to water it and to grow it
Mhm.
and so we plan tightly around it, but we
Yes.
hold it loosely because we don't know what's coming and we don't know what
Mhm.
challenges are coming this year. We don't know what obstacles we're going to have to maneuver around. But if we didn't plan on the front end, there's no way to like navigate around those obstacles very quickly because you have actually no you're very scattered and you don't know where you're going. But if you
Yes.
planned, you actually can like go around it. You can figure
Mhm.
out like how to get around it to get to the place that I'm trying to go.
Yes. I
Um, yeah, and I think that when we hold our plans loosely, um, we're reminded that our peace doesn't come from our productivity. That's like a trap we could get into. So it's not just planning tightly and it's not just holding loosely. It's both together. You want to plan tightly and hold loosely and remind yourself that your peace doesn't come from your productivity. It's like you want to be productive because you already have an inner peace and this vision that's driving you forward.
Yes,
Does
that
that
is
make
so
sense?
beautiful. Absolutely. And I think that another thing that I think about when you mention that is that not to be married to the outcome, but be just trusting that it's this or something better.
Mhm.
And so it's like, okay, here's an example. I have a goal of having 20 in like individual clients at a time because I want to be able to help as many people as I can. And right now, currently, like that's how much I have within my workload with the current design of my program. Okay.
Mhm.
So I think about that and it's like, okay, God placed that like 20 on my heart. And that's how many people I want to serve at a given time. And that's going to help me to essentially take the steps needed to make that happen. But
Mhm.
God might have something even better in store than that. And he placed that initial desire, like those 20 people on my heart to get me into aligned action, to get me into motion and taking
Mhm.
that next step. And then he might very well reveal somewhere on that path that, hey, Lachelle, I have something better, but I wouldn't have gotten there if he hadn't placed that initial 20 people desire on my heart to get me into inspired action.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
so,
Like you can't hold on to it and cling and say like this is mine. Like if that goal was given to you, like it has to be
yeah.
released too when it's changed.
Yes. And so I would love for you to kind of take us down because you are the expert when it comes to really taking a picture of what you want your life to look like and breaking it down into
Mhm.
doable action steps that are actually going to happen. You hold yourself accountable because of the way that you have your planner set up. It breaks it down to doable steps. It helps us to
Mhm.
prioritize. It helps us to schedule things and to know what's important, what needs to be done, all of the things. So can you kind of give us an idea of what that looks like to have a big goal, and then how the heck do I start to break it down to make it more likely to happen?
Yeah. Yes. Yep. That's a great question. And I think you do a good job of the first most important step is like knowing your values and what's important to you and
Mhm.
like the vision, which
Yeah.
you guys have talked about already. And you're really good at walking people through that. But that is like you have to start there.
Yes.
And so then you have this vision. So what do you do today to like reach this big
Yeah.
vision and this thing on your heart? And you have to break it down small enough, which is not a very exciting answer, but
Right.
it's like so key is you have
Mhm.
to have worked through it enough
Yeah.
so that it's small enough. And to get it small enough, you kind of got to wrestle with it a little bit.
Yeah.
You have to um, know milestones along the way, like really mostly this first quarter coming up. You got to know what kind of progress you want to make. And so
Yeah.
you got to think through it. Like, okay, you got to put some skin on it. What
Right.
would it look like to make some progress?
Mhm.
And what kind of results do I want to see? And things that are specific and measurable. And that's kind of beginning goal setting things is turning your goal from like a vague dream into being really specific,
Yeah.
but it goes even beyond that. It can't just be specific. It has to be really, really clear and measurable so that you
Mhm.
can say, I'm 100% committed to seeing this result, at least like at the month level.
Yeah.
Your quarter could be like kind of big. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get there. I can see it,
Yeah.
but at least for the next 30 days, it has to be so clear that you can say, I 100% will complete this. And
Yes.
in order to say that, you have to know like what are your action steps. And your action steps to complete a goal might be different than the action steps I would choose to achieve that same
Mhm.
goal. And so it's not like I can say follow this formula. It's just a lot of like wrestling through it and thinking through what are your strengths and what is your time like
Yeah.
and what opportunities do you currently have in front of you and just thinking through that. And most people are just not willing to think through it because it is hard, but it's so
To break it down.
doable.
Yeah. And so it can't be something as vague as, add 2 new clients a month.
Right.
Like that then how do I do that? And so that's one of the questions that I actually have for you. So let's just take my goal of
Yeah.
I would love to have 20 clients that are part of my signature program, okay, my top tier program. And I've decided that there are a couple of things that I can do to help m- be preparing for that to happen. So, adding a second retreat this year to create. I'm like looking up at my board. So I want to do 2 summits this year. So we're in active summit right now. I want to have 5 live launch events, and so it's like, do you recommend more of the? And then from there, I'm like, okay, well, what do I need to do within, like, what do I need to do to make that retreat happen? What do I
Mhm.
need to do to have this summit go to fruition, and write down like the very basic steps from that? Do you find that it's better to do goal setting like that, where it's like I'm 100% committing to what's in my control? Like I want to, let's say, have 5 coffee chats a week, or I want to reach out to 3 people a day or whatever? Like, is it more important to do the action steps that I can 100% control, or is it better to say I want to have signed this many people up by the end of the month, like where it's more of an outcome versus an
Mhm.
activity? Like, what are your thoughts on
Yeah,
that?
yeah. Great question. I think you're right in that what's within your control is gonna move you into action,
Mhm.
but that outcome you wanna see kind of drove all of those things first.
Yes.
So it's
Yeah.
like you have one eyeball on that. That could be like on the top of your whiteboard or in your planner.
Yeah.
And then all of the activity that you want to do is because you want to see those clients. But you can't control who signs
Mhm.
up and who works with you, but you can control those events.
Right.
And even deciding on the front end, like the amount of events you want to have this coming year and having those written out so that you already know, all right, quarter three is my quarter for the next retreat. And so quarter one, I don't really need to think about that retreat right now. I already know that that's going to be one of my stepping stones.
Yep.
Now for quarter one, what's going to be the first thing? And now you can like just zoom in on that
Yeah.
and break that down every month and every week so
Yeah.
you know what to do.
Yeah, and
Uh,
I feel like oh, keep going,
Well,
sorry.
I was just gonna say, but it's all like data. Like at the end of every
Yes.
month, like you do want to review and see, did the summit bring in new clients? Did the retreat bring in new clients? Because if you did all that activity and you got to the end of the year with no new clients, those are not the activities to bring you to that. So you do like need to check back in with that outcome
Yep.
and read the data and see, well, maybe it's I need to do more than 2 summits a
Mhm.
year. Maybe I did it, I completed it, but it didn't bring in enough. Or like, actually, I'm done already. I'm done early.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they all are working together. But if anything, what's within your control is
Yeah.
what's going to drive your days.
So like, yeah, I feel like it's almost both. And one of the things that I, have noticed in the summit is that, especially with my assistant Jamie and I, it's actually fun to see this stuff coming to work. And we're like, okay, so our goal at the end of the summit is to help 10 people become, a signature member of our program. And so when we start to watch the enrollments come in, it's almost like, oh my gosh, like now I'm more motivated to even do more of the activities that I had
Mhm.
planned to do. So it's like it's a way for us to not only kind of measure whether or not the activities that we're doing are working. So if you don't have some kind of outcome attached to it, guys, you're going to continue to just get sucked in the hustle for the sake of hustling. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, but I don't understand why my business isn't working. I do 5 reach outs a day. Well, are your reach outs effective? If you don't
Mhm.
have an outcome attached to it, it's really hard for you to measure that, right?
Mhm.
And it also then gives you that like extra oomph when you get close to your goals and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so much fun. Then you
Yeah.
can kind of kick yourself into hyper gear, so that you can have that outcome be met or even exceeded. And it's fun that way if we gamify it, right?
Yes, yes, I agree. I agree. I completely agree. I think also like a program like yours is really helpful because the accountability piece to it.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you're not sure, like, okay, that wasn't the activity because it's not bringing the results. So what is it? And just to have the outside person that has been there before and has the
Yeah.
wisdom and the brainstorming power with you. And honestly, it just keeps you going when you're like,
Yeah.
I just want to ignore my planner. I'm going to shut it. I'm going to put it in the drawer and I'm not going to open that drawer
Yeah.
because I
Yeah.
don't want to be reminded of what I should be doing. Uh,
But
to have someone else there to keep you
yeah, I
opening
think that there's, that brings me to something that I think is really important is like, how do you can have, the biggest goals going into this new year, right? But it's like, how am I actually going to get into action? And guys, like, you're not alone in this. Like, I'm really good at, business and mindset, and I can 100% follow through on everything. But when it comes to fitness for me, it is such a huge barrier, and I am just like, I get it, and even drinking water. And so I love how you actually incorporate that kind of stuff into your planner as well. But I think that it's important for us to learn how to maximize the way that we can actually do what we said we were going to do. And I'm just going to say this real quickly, and I'm going to do a whole another episode on this. But one of the things that we have to do is start to take ourselves seriously. I said it, I did
Mm,
it. I said it, I did it.
mhm,
So I
mm,
just want you to just take a moment to commit to yourself. Like, don't be wishy-washy on yourself anymore. Like, let's just make the decision right now that we're going to start to change the way that we look at ourselves and we start to make ourselves accountable. But one of the things that I love about your planner is that it makes me have, not only do you go through the initial like, core values and what do I want my year to look like and all of the things like, I mean, you're getting honest with yourself. I have it right in front of me because it's so good. Making things measurable, all of the things that we know already and we can start to think about and plan for. And then what you do is you help people to get it on paper, not only just in like a list format, but you actually help us to assign it to a day of the week and then a time of the day. And what I find is that when I hold myself accountable to this activity at this specific time, I have to now think about it as an appointment. Would I
mhm,
just flake an appointment with my dentist because I don't feel like doing it? No. I'm going to start to treat my activities as if they're as important as an appointment with somebody else because
mhm.
your what you say to yourself is huge, you guys. And so that's one of the things that I love. Any thoughts around that that you wanted to expand upon?
No, just the thought that, I would just 100% agree. Like, it takes a commitment, it takes accountability, and if it's, again, something that's on your heart, or if you're running a business and you wanna be professional business owner, you just have to follow through and do what you
Yeah.
say you're gonna do.
Yes.
Character will be developed, but it will professionalize your
Yeah.
business. And it's what big companies do is they have accountability. You have, your
Yep.
department head, but when it's just you are the
Yes.
department head and
Yeah.
you have to hold yourself accountable. And so the little things in the planner, like the habit tracker and the are you going to do what you said you're going to do?
Mhm.
And then a little
Yeah.
question at the end. Did you do what you said you were going to do?
Yes.
Just
Yes.
those
Yes.
little things are just to
Yep.
set you up to follow through.
Huge. And I think like you've mentioned accountability a couple times, and I'm just going to go there because it's so important. What I have found is that when I have given away free trainings, free programs, helped friends for nothing, because I just wanted to help them, people don't take it as seriously. And what I found with them and myself is that when we pay attention, which is one of the reasons
Mm,
why I
love
do
that.
not discount my programs in a way that makes them less subconsciously valuable because when I pay attention. I don't want to waste my money. That's why I started using the skincare that I did because it was expensive enough that I wasn't going to let it sit on my shelf and waste. It's like, and then I used it and then I actually got results. Huh? Isn't that something how that happens, right? And so it's like when you pay attention, which is why I offer the accountability and the structure that I do within my program. And so if you find that you're just not getting the results that you want because you keep breaking promises to yourself, perhaps paid accountability is exactly what you need. I also think though that if you aren't ready for that yet, if you're not ready to commit for that, feel free to just grab you a business bestie or a group of gals. I mean, one of the things that I found that was really cool is that at my last retreat in September, the ladies actually formed a private Facebook group on their own. Like
Oh,
I
I
didn't
love
lead
that.
it, they did it themselves. Every single day, they're in there giving themselves or each other encouragement. They're posting their sweaty selfies. They're talking about recipes. They're saying, "Hey, it's really cold and dark here. I am having a crappy day," and the other gals like lift her up. So find people that you can have in your circle that are going to help you to hold yourself accountable for that. That's huge. And I also think that rewarding ourselves is such a great way to get ourselves there. One of the things that I found with myself is that I think about like big picture, and so like for me, it's all or nothing. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
like it's either forever or nothing. And one of the things that I found is like if I can commit to something and given it 100% of my effort for 90 days, and then I can
Mhm,
decide at the end of that 90 days if that worked or not. But
mhm.
at least I knew I tried, and at least I knew that I gave my 100% effort, and then I had given myself a reward after that. So,
Yes.
like, if I can do this consistently for 90 days, Lachelle, you get to buy this.
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And what's interesting, guys, is that it gives your brain a subconscious like thing saying, this is not forever. Like just commit like 100% for 90 days, Lachelle. And if you don't want to do it anymore, you don't have to. But I know because I'm smart enough with goal setting and subconscious brain work that I'm going to develop those damn habits in 90 days.
Yeah.
And I'm likely going to stay in those habits just because I've trained myself to.
Yep.
You have to trick
Yeah.
yourself into
Yes.
saying like, you got this for 90 days, like whatever, and then just find a reward. And the other thing that I'm just going to say before I keep asking you some questions is that like legit, like you guys, this planner, it's so beautiful. It is absolutely beautiful. And the pages inside of it are just, they're stunning. I don't know if you guys can see this, but they are just beautiful. And so I want you guys to have fun with this. And then one of the things that I found that really makes this fun is that I bought some colored pens that
Yes.
helped me to make this fun. And then Sarah actually gave me some stickers, which I don't remember where I set them. They're like on my desk somewhere. But like make it fun, make it pretty. Give yourself
Mhm.
this little dopamine hit when you get to
Mhm.
write something and cross something off in a different colored pen. Like it's so silly, but it absolutely works. And so when I get to go and write something in my calendar or my planner and I get to check it off in a different colored box and I get to do all these fun things, like it makes it fun. It makes it less
Yeah.
tedious. And
Yeah.
I'm guessing that that's partly why you designed it the way you did.
Yeah. That's why the design changes every month. At least the colors change
Yes.
every month because it's like,
Yes.
yeah, it's not monotonous and you can like see it in a new light a little bit or like,
Yeah.
oh, what's going to be like my October color, my highlighter color that matches October.
Yes.
What's the little things?
Right? Absolutely. Any other like, thoughts or tips that you have for people to take their big, big bold vision that they've been working on and ensure that it actually freaking happens this year? Like let this year be our better year, our different year. Let this be the year we start taking ourselves seriously.
Mhm.
Right?
Yes,
Like
let's.
what other things do you have that can really help people break down that big vision and make their life more likely to be a reflection of that?
Honestly, like, just the planner would help, like, a planner and a goal plan, like, is I don't know how you would reach your goals without that. You
Mhm.
have to have a plan in place. If there's just one question you ask yourself, every month when you're reviewing, I don't care if you have it written on a paper towel, like, what your plan is or your goals, but ask yourself, if I completed these weekly action items that I've set out that I have laid out, if I completed these weekly action items, would this monthly result be 100% completed? It's just a little checkpoint for you
Mhm.
to make sure that everything is feeding into each other. Because it is easy to be like, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. But like you said, it's that both like outcome and what's within your control. And so that little checkpoint question, with these weekly action items, if I completed them, 100% complete this monthly result,
Mhm.
then you know that your weekly activity is the right thing. You're onto the right path. You will see progress of some kind.
Yeah. So what do you say to people who, are like, I don't want to set these goals because I don't meet them and then it just is discouraging and whatever. Like what would you say to the person who's had that as their past narrative and they want to get out of that narrative?
Great question, because we have all been there. Because setting goals is like a skill that you get better at, and so the first time you might have set something that's like way beyond or like not related to where you actually want to be.
Yeah.
Um, and I encourage you to try again. Like just try again if it's not working
Yep.
and go smaller. Go smaller.
Okay.
Go like atomic habits. Like go to the atomic small size habit so
Mhm.
that you're getting to the place where you can rely on yourself. Like maybe start with a habit. That could be goal number 1 is get
Mhm.
a habit in place of opening my planner every day. That's it. That's it.
Mhm.
Like it has
Okay.
to be so silly small. And but be encouraged and feel the win. You need to feel the win. Go smaller so you feel the win.
That's so good because I think that's the thing. Like I have an all or nothing brain. And it gets me like in trouble a lot. Like, oh, I missed this. So now I'm just going to give it up altogether.
Yeah.
And so I love the fact that you're like, okay, make these goals smaller. Cause sometimes we feel like, reach for the stars and you land among the moon,
Right.
So
Yeah.
what are your thoughts? I mean, kind of give me your thoughts on that.
I mean, I see it because I don't think we think big enough sometimes, like in our brainstorming sessions.
Yep.
But that's for like the brainstorming dreaming stage.
Yes.
That is not for like your everyday, like, let's just throw it all out there and see what happens. Like
Yes.
you point to the star, you nail and land on that star. Like that's what I like to do.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah.
So I think a lot of people get confused about that. And so that I wanted to kind of make sure that that was clear is that you guys, God does not have limits. And if he placed this big, bold, beautiful, audacious goal on your heart, like he knows that he's going to equip you for that as long as you continue to take the aligned action. You can't just sit on your couch and expect all these people to show up. You need to do the aligned, inspired action that he's asking you to do to get you there. That's what Sarah's talking about. It's taking this big, beautiful goal that God has placed on your heart. And then it's like, okay, within the time constraints that I have here on earth, like what are the steps that I could do to make that happen, knowing that God is going to equip you with the people and the skills as long as you are in action, right?
Yeah.
And so having this big goal is awesome. And then breaking it down into what are a couple of key linchpin strategies that I could use that are going to give me more likelihood of that dream happening. And then from those linchpin activities, how do you break them down into the smallest, tiniest little steps so that you can say with 100% certainty, this is doable, I can do this. And then what are some outcomes that you can attach to those that are going to help you to know that, yep, you're on the right track, or no, this linchpin activity is actually not even close to what I think I need to do. It's going to help you to gauge this. And I love it too, that you break your planner, into quarters also, so that you can reevaluate things. And, before we wrap up, I'm just going to say that there is a difference between just having a calendar and having a goal setting planner, because what you've done is you've combined both. So you've taken the ability for us to cast this vision in a big goal, and then we use our calendar to make it actually show up in ways that we can do it. And that's what I love about this so much. And so for my podcast listeners, you guys have an extra sneak access to some really cool things right now. So I want to make sure that you know about it. Number one, for my Spiral Up podcast listeners, you guys are going to get access to Sarah's Soul Planner with a $10 discount using the code Spiral Up. And so make sure that you check out the show notes of this episode so that you can get your hands on that. You guys, it is going to blow your mind. For real. I give these away as gifts. I recommend them to everyone. And my reputation is important. So just trust me on this. Okay. So that's number one. Spiral Up is the code for a $10 discount. Link is in the show notes. Number two, you guys are the first to hear this. Nobody else knows this. So this is, you're part of my special community. I have a special Spiral Up Business Summit viewing inside of my Facebook group, The Better Club, this coming weekend. It has not been announced anywhere yet. You guys are the first and only people to know this. Okay. So it's going to be announced to everybody else here in the next couple of days. All right. Now listen up. Inside of the Spiral Up Summit viewing in the Better Club, we are going to be doing a really fun scavenger hunt, and super, super fun, easy to answer questions. And you'll get a chance to win your very own soul planner amongst a few other prizes. So you're not going to want to miss this, you guys. So make sure that if you are not already inside the Better Club, get inside the Better Club. The link is in the show notes, or you can just search it on Facebook so that you're ready to go for this, and be on the lookout for the scavenger hunt questions so that you can get your hands on one of these planners for free. So isn't that exciting?
Yeah. 2024, here we come.
Here we come, baby. Awesome. All right, you guys have an amazing, amazing rest of your week. I will see you here next Wednesday. And Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. You are amazing.
Thanks for having me.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to iam-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough, or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, plug into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.